I guess it's recording. I hope it is anyways. All right. So, I don't want you to write anything down right from this slide. I just want you to look at it. So take a look here. So what I was trying to show you here, just to give you just the mindset. I guess let me back up a little bit. So we've been learning about DNA and cell or gene regulation, right? And then we took kind of a side trip for cell respiration and photosynthesis, give you a little bit of break. And we were able to do some lab things and all that. And so now we're going to come back to heredity and genetics, which is kind of the next step of, studying, I guess it's not really DNA per se, but it is. It's not completely irrelevant from photosynthesis and cell respiration. They are connected. In fact, that anything that does cell respiration, photosynthesis is doing so because of its DNA, right? So, what you see in this picture is there's what looks like a bowl of spaghetti, right? This is all your DNA, the way it normally exists inside the nucleus of your cell. It's actually really kind of loose and not very compact. And if you remember, you have how many nucleotides in your genetic code? Anybody remember how long your DNA is? The human genome? So long, right? 3.2 billion nucleotides, right? So that's your genetic information. But then at only certain times, mainly right before cell division, all that DNA will coil up tightly into what you guys are familiar with, is this thing called chromosomes. So we often talk about chromosomes, but they really don't exist very often. They only exist in that shape before cell division. So that's what a chromosome is. It's all your nucleotides of your DNA tightly coiled up into this structure here. It's shaped that way. So that's what I want you to, so I'm gonna pop over here to this other presentation here and do some things. So this is what I do want you to jot down a definition of, what is chromatin? I'm kind of helping here. Again, you don't always have to write every word that you see on a slide. So, what is chromatin and what is a chromosome? So you have that chromatin being that loosely kind of spaghetti looking DNA as it typically exists inside your nucleus most of the time. And then it coils up into what's called chromosomes when the cells get ready to divide. Got it? Chromatin, chromosomes. But we'll mostly be talking about chromosomes because that's just an easier kind of way to think about and understand how you pass on your DNA or how you received DNA from who? Who'd you receive DNA from? Carter? Yeah, your DNA was passed on to you by your mom and dad, as weird and gross as that may be, right? Okay. All right. Don't draw this, just kind of look at it. It's just, again, in your mind, understanding what is chromatin and chromosomes. So your DNA typically is like this most of the time. Before cell division, it coils up into these structures called chromosomes. Okay. I do want you to make a little sketch of this. So again, we're actually not going to talk about this thing called kinetic core. But yeah, the chromatid, centromere. Chromatids are the pieces that make up a chromosome. So there's two of them connected by what's called a centromere. But little egg-shaped button kind of thing in the middle, chromatid, centromere. Oh, I'm going to come around and try to peek at your genetic terms while you're doing this. Let's see. Good, guard, bueno, boots, nice. Good. Awesome. Colon. Alright, I'll check the rest of yours in a bit. Okay, so next here, we'll talk about chromosomes here a little bit so that we can talk about cell division. We'll talk about cell division so we can talk about and understand heredity and genetics better. But key things here are this down here, right? So just kind of reminders, really. This is not something new. You don't need we already talked about chromatin and chromosomes. So you don't need to write this again. This is just sort of a elaboration, the idea that you have a lot of cell division going on. So you don't need to write down that the human body produces 2 trillion cells a day. I'm not going to ask you that. That's a trivia question. I'm not going to ask you how many cells are produced, but I do expect you to know why cells divide and what happens to your DNA during cell division. Again, this is not new. We talked about this when we learned about DNA replication. So if you remember helicase, the enzyme that pulls your DNA apart, and then polymerase, which adds new nucleotides, and then if you remember the one side goes continuously 5 to 3, and the other side has to go little chunks called what? What little pieces? What fragments? Japanese dudes. Okazaki fragments. Very good. So that was all this stuff, and just the idea that you have to copy when your cells are going to divide. Your DNA has to replicate first, so that each daughter cell gets all of your chromosomes, all of your DNA. Again, you just need to remind yourself of what I circled in red there, which again is something that you already learned about, that that DNA has to be copied before the cell can divide. Okay, this there's several terms. Like today is it's like the biology vocabulary all-star day. You're gonna get some of the best, most commonly used biology vocabulary that there is. So yeah, this idea of something called a somatic cell. It's a really important idea. This here. I should have asked you this because some of you probably remember or knew that a human being has 23 pairs of chromosomes. So all your 3.2 billion nucleotides are divided up into pieces, chromosomes, and you have 23 pairs of chromosomes. We're giving you a total of 46, and again, why do they occur in pairs? Because you got 23 from your mom, and you got 23 from your dad, and they're pairs, which we'll talk about in a minute. So every somatic cell, this is a term that it's a very commonly used biology term. A somatic cell is any cell that's in the body of an organism, called a somatic cell. So, Cole, you're a giant lump of somatic cells. So is Holmes, and so is Campbell, Mast, and Hammer, and me. We're just a big giant lump of somatic cells, body cells. Okay, another really fundamental biology term, a homologous chromosome. So the main point here I'm circling in red. So again, we have these pairs of chromosomes. We have 23 pairs. You got one from your mom, one from your dad, and the pair is called homologous. So the term homo is used a lot in biology, homozygous, homologous. It means the same, and that's what that means. So the chromosomes are the same size, same shape, same genetic content in them. I'll come back to this. Oh, I don't want to do that. I'll come back to this, just hold on a second. Show you a different one. Okay, this is what's called a karyotype. It's a picture of a human's chromosome. So you can take a cell, find it while it's dividing, and look in microscope, magnify the nucleus, and you'll see these chromosomes. Now this is computer generated, meaning that the computer takes the chromosome picture and lines them all up. They don't match up like that in the nucleus by themselves. But what you see here are these pairs of chromosomes. Again, you have 22 pairs of chromosomes. Again, in each pair, one came from who? Your mom, one came from your dad. They're called homologous because they're the same size, shape, they carry the same genetic information. So for example, on chromosome 4, if there's a gene for eye color, there's going to be a gene for eye color on both of them. Right? On 5, if there's a gene for the shape of your earlobes, there's going to be a gene on both of those chromosomes. It may not be the same allele, like one could be free hanging earlobes and the other one might be attached earlobes, but they're homologous because they both have that information on them that's the same gene, the same information. So, all right. So that's what homologous means. These terms, right? Another, like probably some of the most fundamental biology terms that there are, something called diploid and haploid. Okay, if a cell has pairs of chromosomes, it's called diploid. But what I just showed you, that picture of the chromosomes, that was from a diploid cell because both of the chromosomes are there from the pair. If a cell only had one of each chromosome, it would be called haploid. You can do them like represent mathematically too. So like a diploid cell is represented by the symbol 2n, meaning that there's 2 of every chromosome, and haploid is represented by 1n, meaning that there's only 1 of each chromosome. So these are, trust me, I mean, they're fundamental biology terms that are used a lot in biology, the idea of a diploid and a haploid cell. Some people pronounce it diploid, but I think that sounds dumb, so. Yeah. Same with people that pronounce tomatoes. Whoever said, I never heard anybody call it tomato. You call it tomato? No. Good. All right, diploid, haploid. Couple other terms here. So again, I don't think you need to write down everything here, but I do want you to know this term, what an autosome is, and a sex chromosome. So in that picture I showed you, so the first 22 pairs of chromosomes there in that picture are called autosomes. They have nothing to do with determining your gender. And everybody has them. So those first 22 chromosomes, we all have them. They carry the same information. So like what's on my chromosome 18 is the same as what's on AJ's, the same as what's on Elena's. It's obviously not the exact same alleles, but the information that's on them is the same. So, you know, AJ has a gene for hair color on his chromosome 10. Well, so do I. You know, we all have it. Those autosomes carry the same information for everybody. They have, again, nothing to do with determining your gender. Now, the last pair, in that picture I showed you, if you noticed that the bottom right of that picture was the final set of chromosomes, which were labeled X and Y, which has to do with, that's what determines whether you're a male or female. And those are called sex chromosomes. So every one of us in here has 22 autosome pairs, and then we have one sex chromosome pair. Hey, Yarker, I'm gonna have this on, I'm gonna put this on Canvas, this recording, so if you wanna check it out, you can. Okay, got that? Autosome, so we're learning again, lots of good, like, widely used biology terms. And again, with an autosome, a sex chromosome, very important stuff. Again, here you can write down what you need to from this. I don't know, I mean, I'm assuming you know this stuff, but maybe not. So in that sex chromosome, if you have an X and a Y, you will develop into a male. Right? If you have two X chromosomes, if you inherit those from your parents, you will develop into a female. So technically, so here, follow this, right? So females actually have a pair of homologous chromosomes on their sex chromosomes. They have two X chromosomes. So a female has 23 homologous pairs, but males, us, the males, we don't. We have 22 homologous pairs, but the last one, they're not the same. They're different. We have an X and a Y, which is what causes us to develop into males. And this is not necessarily a good thing. We'll learn about this in a few days. Not having a homologous pair of chromosomes actually causes us to be much more susceptible to a bunch of genetic diseases, and some of them are pretty nasty. And so girls never get them. Now, some of these things girls get, but not the really nasty ones that, you know, cause babies to die really early and stuff like that. So we'll talk more about that, but it's the fact that we don't have a homologous pair of chromosomes in our sex chromosomes. All right, males, yeah, X, Y. So this term, another one, right? Another term, gamete. Know this. There, a gamete is a term for a reproductive cell, and a zygote is what you call the first cell of a new organism. So gametes are obviously extremely important for the continuation of a species. Okay? And the thing about them that's interesting is, so those are the only haploid cells that there is in an animal or plant. You know, the rest of the cells are diploid, but the sperm and egg cells, the gametes, are haploid. If you were to look at a karyotype of a sperm or an egg cell, you would see that they only have 23 chromosomes. They don't have pairs. If you think about this, this is really logical, right? Because to make another of that species, the sperm and the egg have to join together, right? And when they do, how many chromosomes do they have then once they're together? 46. They make a diploid, what's called a zygote. So the sperm cell is haploid, the egg cell is haploid. When they get together, they make a diploid zygote. That's what, you know, Kendall, do you remember when you were a zygote? Good. That'd be kind of weird if you did. So pretty crazy to think about. Every one of us in the room was a one-celled zygote at one time, and which grossly enough was a combination of your mom's sperm, your mom's sperm, your dad's sperm, and your mom's egg, right? And that's, put them chromosomes together. So when you look at your pairs of chromosomes, one of them came from your mom, one of them came from your dad. All those things that you have in every one of your cells now started off as just a little single zygote. All right. Last thing here, all these little charts. So we kind of learn all these terms and stuff so that we can talk about cell division and we can talk about heredity and genetics in an intelligent way. So you might remember this again, I don't know. There's two kinds of cell division. One of them is called mitosis. I know Mr. Kell, if you hadn't taught you this stuff, I imagine this round through as well. But applying it to what we're talking about now. So in mitosis, you start with a diploid parent cell, and it copies all the DNA, and then it divides, and you end up with two diploid daughter cells that are identical. They are exactly the same as the parent cell. And the purpose of mitosis is for all the growth that you've ever done in your life, all the repair, all the replacement of cells. This is going on, like trillions of times in your body a day. You're creating new cells through what's called mitosis. Very common kind of cell. Again, that's how, look at Candle, right? That's how he got to be this lump of somatic cells sitting here. He was at one time a zygote, single little cell, and then it just kept dividing by mitosis. Now look at him, big giant lump of somatic cells. All right, now how did he become to be, right? So that's because of this, meiosis. Right? So the purpose of meiosis, the only purpose of meiosis is to make gametes, right? So, there's no meiosis going on in your leg or your arm or your liver or your kidney or your brain or your face or whatever, right? The only place this is happening is in either ovaries or testicles, depending on your gender. That's where meiosis is happening. Now, the thing that's fascinating about meiosis is it's going to go, it kind of starts the same as mitosis. You have a diploid parent cell, makes two diploid daughter cells, but then they go on and divide again. And you end up with 4 haploid cells from the original parent cell. And those haploid cells, if you're a male, they're going to be sperm, female, they're going to be eggs. And they can potentially go on to become a Candle zygote, right? It's kind of weird, because I have several now students in my classes whose parents I had in school. In the last period, I had somebody that had both their parents, and at one time I was sitting there in class talking to their parents about meiosis and sperm and egg cells, and there you go, they combined their sperm and egg cells. Now the kid is sitting in my class too. Very weird. And teaching them about haploid cells and gametes. Crazy. All right. So let's practice a little bit. Everybody got this? All right. Understanding concepts of diploid and haploid. All right. We'll start with Justin. Ready, Justin? Diploid means what? Half or 2? 2? Did you say 2? Correct. Good. What's haploid mean, Angelina? Half. Good. Look at that. Good job. You're on your way. Yay. All right. Some other terms here. All right. True or false? Gametes are haploid in chromosome number, Noel? True. Very good. Absolutely. The number of chromosomes that a gamete would contain would be described as what, Tilly Bar? Good. Somatic cells refers to every other cell in the body except gametes. True or false? To Luke? Yes. All right. All right. Let's see, Miss Constantine, is a liver cell a gamete or somatic cell? Very good. What about a sperm cell, Amira? Yep, gamete. Very good. Brain cell, Caitlin. Good. Lung cell, Carney? No. Somatic cell, all right. Again, gametes are only, let's see, Kunis, an egg. Gamete, very good. Skin cell, Candle. Good. And that, keep going, Candle. Halfway there. True or false? Somatic cells are diploid chromosome number, Elena. True. Good. Do we already have this? That's good. All right, this one, Elena, that one's too easy for you. Humans have 46 chromosomes, somatic cells. So those cells are what? Haploid or diploid? Diploid. Right? Remember, somatic cells, always diploid cells. 46 is your diploid. Humans have 23 chromosomes in their gametes. Those cells are what, Elena? Haploid. Very good. Hammer time. So what we would say is the human diploid number is 46. So what's the human haploid number? Very good. If the haploid number is 23, what's the diploid number? Factor? Good. Chimps, right? Gracie, chimps, diploid number is 48. What's the chimpanzee haploid number? Very good. If the haploid number is 24, what's the diploid number equivalence? Good. Humans, how many chromosomes in a liver cell? Cole? Try again, Cole. 46. 46, right? Somatic body cells are diploid of 46. How many in a sperm cell, Cole? 23. Very good, Cole. Brain cell, AJ? 46. Good. Lung cell, York? 46. Good. Egg cell, Roberto? Good. All right, let's go on. Almost there. Let's a couple more. Oops. Let's go horse. Diploid number for a horse is 64. How many chromosomes in a horse's liver cell? Justin? No, wait, we're on Oots. Brandon? Yes, good. Alligators. Diploid number is 32. How many chromosomes in an alligator liver cell, Justin? 32, very good. Dog's diploid number is 78. How many chromosomes in a dog's sperm cell, Angelina? Very good. All right, you guys got it. All right, good stuff. Okay. All right. So check out this picture here again. This thing is called a karyotype, right? And this one, you look at it closely, okay, it's got, again, all these pairs. Now, is this a diploid or haploid cell we're looking at? Diploid, right? There's 2 of every chromosome. This is from a human because there's 46. And Cole, is this a male or female? Good. Yeah, if you notice here, 2X chromosomes, so this is a female. Again, she has 23 homologous pairs. The sex chromosome for a female is homologous, it's the same. But again, if this were a male, you'd have down here, this is, not homologous. We have 2 different kinds of chromosomes. Makes us kind of screwed up in a lot of ways. So there you go. That's the explanation, Kunis, why boys are so strange and girls are superior. All right. Okay. Go to your computer and click on this thing that says karyotype activity. And I'm going to pass this out to you real quick and show you what it is, and then let you get started. And those of you that have to film or record your photosynthesis split grid still can do that in a minute. You're welcome.
So I don't know my password. I don't think no one.
Okay, so let me show you this activity real quick and kind of general how to do it, and then I'll let you get going on doing it. So there's an introduction. If you look on the papers, there's an introduction, what causes dark band on chromosomes, what's a centromere, etc. Now, on when you click this karyotype link, it's going to take you to this page. If you click the first link, this is what you need to do the activity. If you don't use, I don't think you would anyways, but if you typed in the website on the paper, it's not going to take you to the right thing. So, so as you click the link, it's going to take you here. Now, don't read all the introduction right now. You can go back and do that later so that you can answer the introduction question on the paper. What I want to show you is how to do the patient history. So on the paper, it says patient histories. Click on patient histories. So if you go right here and click on patient histories, you don't have to do it. You can watch me. If you click on that, it takes you to here. And then it says you're going to complete a karyotype for patient A, B, and C. Click on the link to complete patient A's karyotype. So I'm going to click on that link, but you do need to know these patient histories later. So you come back to see what the patient history is. So patient A is a nearly full-term fetus of a 40-year-old female. The chromosomes were obtained from fetal epithelial cells acquired through amniocentesis. So the patient is the fetus, not the 40-year-old female. So when you click on this, complete patient A's karyotype, it's going to take you to here. Again, this is the fetus, not the mom. And how it works is you have to, it says place this chromosome partially complete karyotype below by clicking on small x chromosome. So they're talking about this one right here on the left, this thing. So you're trying to see, okay, it could be chromosome 2, 5, 12, 16. It's probably 2, right? So you click on that and it'll tell you, yay, correct, you did it. Then they've got this little guy right here. That one is 16, so you click there. Then you got this one, which is probably, I don't know, chromosome 12. And then you got that one, chromosome 5. And then it says, now you've paired up all the chromosomes, but you have this extra one. So this baby is some abnormalities. It's got this extra chromosome. So you're going to try and figure out, where does it go? What's a little chromosome? So it's probably one of the last chromosomes down here. And so I'm going to click 21. And there it says, congratulations, you successfully completed patient A's karyotype. Next, interpret the karyotype, make a diagnosis. Patient A's completed karyotype is at the bottom of the page for your reference. So if you go down here, you'll see your completed karyotype. And then you're going to, answer all these questions about patient A. What's patient A's history? How many total chromosomes are there? Where's the extra one at? And then you try to diagnose. The disease is either Klinefelter's, Down syndrome, or trisomy 13. So you try to diagnose what patient A has. And then once you're done with patient A, you move on to patient B and then patient C. Okay? Got it? And when you're finished with the patients, the second site 2, Genetic Science Learning Center, you have to go back to this and click on that second site link. Will take you there. And that's that. Okay? There you go. So you get to be the doctors here, little genetic doctors, and try to see if you can correctly diagnose some genetic disorders based on karyotypes. Amniocentesis sounds scary to me, man. Like, not that I ever have to worry about it because I'm never going to be pregnant. But they take like a needle in there and they take cells out from the amniotic fluid, and those would be baby cells, and they can analyze those. So that's why, again, another reason why males are too wimpy. They can't handle having kids. It's too scary. I never want to do that. Okay, now if you have to video your photosynthesis Flipgrid still, please do that now. If there's anyone that still has to video their Flipgrid, and if you don't, you can just work on this thing for the last 12, 13 minutes.